Hello, today's daily reading comes from the book of the Apocrypha. We are reading 4th Maccabees chapter 10, and it reads as follows. Now this one, having endured this praiseworthy death, the third was brought along and exhorted by many to taste and save his life, but he cried out and said, Do you not know that the father of those who are dead became the father of me also, and that the same mother bore me, and that I was brought up in the same tenets? I renounce not the noble relationship of my kindred. Now then, whatever instrument of vengeance you have, apply it to my body, for you are not able to touch, even if you wish it, my soul. But they highly incensed at his boldness of speech, dislocated his hands and feet with racking engines, and wrenching them from their sockets, dismembered him, and they dragged him round his fingers and his arms and his legs and his ankles, and not being able by any means to strangle him, they tore off his skin together with the extreme tips of his fingertips, and they dragged him to the wheel around which his vertebral joints were loosened. And he saw his own flesh torn to shreds and streams of blood flowing from his entrails. And when about to die, he said, We, O accursed tyrant, suffer this for the sake of divine education and virtue, but you, for your impiety and bloodshedding, will endure indissoluble torments. And having died worthily of his kindred, they drag forward the fourth, saying, Do not share the madness of your kindred, but give regard to the king and save yourself. But he said to them, You have not a fire so scorching as to make me play the coward. By the blessed death of my kindred and the eternal punishment of the tyrant and the glorious life of the pious, I will not repudiate the noble brotherhood. Invent, O tyrant, torture that you may learn even through them that I am the brother of those tormented before. When he had said this, the bloodthirsty and murderous and unhallowed Antichus ordered his tongue to be cut out. But he said, Even if you take away the organ of speech, yet God hears the silent. Behold, my tongue is extended, cut it off. For by that you won't halt my reasoning. Gladly do we lose our limbs in behalf of God, but God will speedily find you, since you cut off the tongue, the instrument of divine melody. Chapter 11. And when he had died, disfigured in his torments, the fifth leaped forward and said, I intend not, O tyrant, to get excused from the torment which is in behalf of virtue, but I have come of my own accord, that by the death of me you may owe heavenly vengeance a punishment for more crimes. O you hater of virtue and of men, what have we done that you so revel in our blood? Does it seem evil to you that we worship the founder of all things and live according to his surpassing law? But this is worthy of honors, not torments. Had you been capable of higher feelings of men and possessed the hope of salvation from God, behold now, being alien from God, you make war against those who are religious toward God. As he said this, the spear bearers bound him and drew him to the torture device, to which binding him at his knees and fastening them with iron fetters, they bent down his loins upon the wedge of the wheel, and his body was then dismembered, scorpion fashion. With his breath so confined and his body strangled, he said, A great favor you bestow upon us, O tyrant, by enabling us to manifest our adherence to the law by means of nobler sufferings. He also, being dead, the sixth, quite a youth, was brought out, and on the tyrant asking him whether he would eat and be delivered, he said, I am indeed younger than my brothers, but in understanding I am as old. For having been born and reared to the same end, we are bound to die also in behalf of the same cause. So that if you think proper to torment us for not eating the unclean, then torment. As he said this, they brought him to the wheel, extended upon which, with limbs racked and dislocated, he was gradually roasted from beneath. And having heated sharp spits, they approached them to his back, and having transfixed his sides, they burned away his entrails. And he, while tormented, said, O period good and holy, in which, for the sake of religion, we kindred have been called to the contest of pain and have not been conquered. For religious understanding, O tyrant, is unconquered. Armed with upright virtue, I also will depart with my kindred. I too, bearing with me a great avenger, O inventor of tortures, an enemy of the truly pious. We 6 youths have destroyed your tyranny, for is not your inability to overrule our reasoning and to compel us to eat unclean your destruction? Your fire is coal dust, your devices are painless, and your violence harmless. For the guards not of a tyrant, but a divine law, are our defenders. Through this we keep our reasoning unconquered. Amen.